There are people in your life who appear harmless, even supportive, but behind their smiles and empathy lurk deep distortions that slowly dismantle your sense of self. Carl Jung, one of the most influential thinkers in modern psychology, was not just interested in what people say or do. He was fascinated by what people hide. Jung taught that human beings wear masks or personas to survive in society. But beneath these masks lies something far more important: the shadow, the unconscious aspects of ourselves we deny or repress. When a person fails to confront their shadow, they begin to project it onto others, often unconsciously manipulating or harming those around them. In this light, Jung identified 6 psychological types that should set off alarm bells, not because they are evil by nature, but because they are profoundly unaware of themselves. Let's explore these 6 types, and more importantly, what you must do to protect your energy, identity, and emotional clarity. 1. The chronic victim, the weaponizer of pity. At first glance, the chronic victim seems sympathetic. They've always been hurt, wronged, or betrayed. Their life is a string of unfortunate events, and your natural response is to help, to extend empathy and offer support. But Jung warned us, this person isn't seeking healing. They're seeking power through helplessness. The chronic victim deflects all responsibility and uses guilt as a tool. They don't carry their pain, they project it, manipulating others into carrying it for them. Their weapon is your compassion. The greatest danger: they don't want change, because victimhood, to them, is control. It guarantees attention, support, and an endless excuse for avoiding accountability. Jung believed these people have fused with their shadow, making emotional manipulation their primary mode of relating. Warning sign: you feel guilty for being emotionally stable or happy. 2. The charming mirror, the master of persona. This person is incredibly likable. They reflect your values, dreams, and fears. They validate you in every way. At first, they feel like your soulmate or greatest ally. But this isn't connection, it's performance. Jung described this dynamic as the persona trap. The charming mirror over-identifies with the mask they wear to gain approval. They show you your reflection, not their reality. There is no true self behind their charm, only adaptation, mimicry, and a desire to be accepted. Once the charm fades, or you stop feeding their need for admiration, they either vanish or turn against you. Trusting this person is like shaking hands with smoke, intangible, unstable, and ultimately, empty. Warning sign: you realize you know nothing personal about them, even after months. 3. The passive-aggressive enabler, the friendly saboteur. This person never says no. They encourage you, kind of. They let you speak, then subtly chip away at your ambition. You're so brave to try that. I just don't want you to be disappointed. It's great, but maybe tone it down a bit. You don't want people to think you're arrogant. On the surface, they're supportive, but their real agenda is to instill doubt. Jung called this the shadow of the helper, a manipulative pattern that hides behind concern, maturity, or logic. They don't attack your choices, they erode your confidence. Why? Because your success threatens their relevance. They need you to stay small so they can feel big. Warning sign: you second-guess your instincts after talking to them. 4. The secret competitor, the jealous ally. They cheer for you, but only when they're winning. They copy your ideas, tell similar stories, only better, and celebrate your victories with forced smiles and backhanded compliments. To Jung, this person is consumed by a quiet inferiority. They aren't openly hostile, they're covertly resentful. Instead of facing their own insecurity, they externalize it. They don't hate you, they hate what you mirror back to them, their own inadequacy. And when you fail, they feel relief. You'll hear it in their voice. I was afraid this would happen. I tried to warn you. Warning sign. Their praise always comes with a subtle correction or story about themselves. 5. The spiritual narcissist, the wise controller. This person appears to be evolved. They speak calmly, use spiritual language, and seem emotionally grounded. They say things like, "Sounds like a trigger you haven't dealt with yet." "I'm just holding space for your projection. You still have healing to do." It sounds wise, but it's really a power play. Jung called this a split psyche. The persona clings to a spiritual identity, while the shadow leaks out as superiority. They dominate not with anger, but with detachment. They make you feel like you're always the one overreacting, always the one who's not conscious enough. In truth, they've buried their ego under robes and rituals, and called it enlightenment. Warning sign. You feel smaller every time you seek their guidance. 6. The empathic controller, the sensitive manipulator. This person feels everything. They read your energy. They cry easily. They're sensitive, compassionate, and emotionally exhausting. At first, they make you feel deeply seen. But soon, you start editing yourself to protect their emotional state. You hesitate to express frustration, fearing it will hurt their energy. You tiptoe around them, and without realizing it, you're managing their emotions, not your own. Jung warned that many who claim to be empaths are projecting unhealed chaos outward and demanding that others organize themselves around it. Warning sign. You feel like you're always walking on eggshells around them. Why these people exist. Carl Jung's answer is clear and brutal. These people exist because they never met their shadow. Instead of integrating their darkness, they project it. Instead of healing, they seek control. Instead of taking responsibility, they place their burdens on others. And they're not rare. They're everywhere. They thrive in environments where people don't know how to defend their energy, where kindness is confused with self-abandonment, where love is measured by sacrifice instead of self-respect. Why you attract them now. Here's the part most people miss, and what makes Jung's teaching so powerful. You attract what you haven't integrated. If you constantly attract manipulators, there's a part of you afraid to stand in your own truth. If you're always around victims, there's a part of you that needs to be needed. If you're betrayed by charming people, maybe you're still worshipping approval more than clarity. This isn't blame, it's mirroring. Jung said that our shadow holds all the parts of us we've repressed. Anger, boundaries, self-protection, truth-telling. And until we reclaim those parts, we'll remain vulnerable to those who unconsciously exploit them. What you can do now. Jung didn't want us to become suspicious of the world. He wanted us to trust our inner knowing. He wanted us to integrate the shadow, because only then can we truly protect ourselves. 1. Audit your circle. Ask yourself, who drains me? Who confuses me? Who do I constantly have to explain myself to? If someone needs endless context to treat you well, they're not confused. They're avoiding accountability. Let them go. Withdraw without guilt. 2. Let your shadow speak. Be willing to say no. Get angry. Question people's intentions. Stop being the nice version of yourself just to stay accepted. Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Stop performing for peace. Set boundaries, even if your voice shakes." 3. Stop explaining. People who respect your energy don't need justification. They feel your standards and match them. Toxic people, however, will demand explanations so they can poke holes in your resolve. Don't let them. 4. Trust what you felt the first time. That weird gut feeling, the moment of hesitation, the subtle shift in energy. That wasn't paranoia. That was intuition. Listen to it. Act on it. Toxic people don't come with warning labels. They come with charm, flattery, vulnerability, and healing talk. And by the time their mask slips, it's often too late. Final word. Carl Jung didn't want you to fear others. He wanted you to stop fearing yourself. The more of your shadow you integrate, the fewer manipulators you'll attract. Not because they don't exist, but because they can't reach you. You stop explaining. You stop fixing. You stop performing. And without ever raising your voice, you become someone no manipulator can seduce, no narcissist can fool, and no secret competitor can shake. You become who Jung wanted you to be, whole, grounded, awake, and impossible to trick.